We're holding in the beginning of Chodesh Elul, and we just read Parashat Shoftim. Parashat Shoftim, we found a description, as we spoke on Shabbat, of what to do when you go for a war. And I recently came across something very interesting. You know, President Biden, before he was president, years before he was president, he was a senator. And at the time when he was a young man, he himself says a story. That he was a young senator. He went to Israel, and he met with Prime Minister then, Golda Meir. Anybody saw that clip of video that he talks about it?
I saw that. We really liked that.
So he describes, anybody can see it, it's public. He describes and he says that when he spoke to Golda Meir, the prime minister, right before the Yom Kippur War, he describes the meeting with her as really heartbreaking. She told him how dire the situation for the new country is, how the many countries that are surrounding Israel are planning to fight, and they are well armed and they're much more equipped than this small new country is. And she went through explaining to him all the very, very harsh situation that the land of Israel, the new country of Israel is. And he himself he says that he felt heartbroken, he felt despaired. And as she was looking at him, she looked at his face and she saw he was troubled very much. That's the way he describes it. And then he says that she turned to him and she told him, "Why you look so despaired? Why you look so heartbroken?" And he told the prime minister, he told her, what do you mean? You just explained to me this very hard situation that you're in. I feel very hard. And she told him that I forgot to tell you we have a secret weapon. And he thought, that's the way, again, that's why he says the story. He thought that she means the real atomic bomb, secret weapon. And she told him that the secret weapon of the Jewish nation is that they have no other land and they have no other choice. And when you have no other land and you have no other choice, you fight and you win a war even against all odds. And this is what we found in our Parashat Shoftim, which tells us that when you go to a war, certain things, you go to a war, first you have to ask to make peace between the people you're planning to fight and so on. The Rambam tells us a halacha, how to declare, how to start a war, before you even start a war. He says like this, "Kshetzarim al ir letofsa," when you siege a city in order to conquer it, en makifim otam me'arba ruchot, don't surround it from all four sides. Ela mishalosh ruchotea, you surround three walls and you leave one side for the people in the city to be able to escape. Manichim makom livroch. Anybody that would like to escape, he's welcome. שנאמר ויצבאו על מדיין כאשר ציווה השם את משה, מפי השמועה למדו שכך ציווהו. That's the command of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to Moshe Rabbeinu. This is how you fight a war. The Or Sameach explains what's the psychology behind it. He says that very point that Golda Meir said. What's the point? When you have people in that city that have no way to escape, they see their end, they'll fight above their means, above their strength. And then you're unlikely to win such a war. So therefore, you give them a way to escape. When a person knows in the back of his mind, psychologically, that he has another way to get out, so his war is not with all his strength. When we come to the month of Elul, we need to realize that right now we're coming towards a war din Torah, din in bed din shel shamayim, without being able to escape. We have to fight with all our might, with all our strength. Because at this din Torah, this din shamayim, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu judges every year on Rosh Hashanah, the entire world, there's no escaping. No one gets out. Everybody being judged for every act that he made throughout the year and throughout his life. And therefore, now is the time. We have this 1 month of preparation. We have to put all that we can into it. When the Torah tells us the right way of being able to succeed in that judgment, being able to survive the judgment, being able to be successful and get a good judgment, there is an interesting insight that the Torah tells us. And that is that we should do things the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself does. Ve'alachta b'drachav. Ve'alachta b'drachav, Chachamim tell us that mahu chanun afatach chanun, mahu rachum afatach rachum, which means you have to try to see how HaKadosh Baruch Hu behaves in this world to us, to the people, to the world, and imitate him. Do the same thing as he does. That's the reason that we have Yud Gimel Midot Rachamim saying over and over in Selichot. Why do you repeat that over and over? The reason is because those Yud Gimel Midot has in them all those that we need to imitate, all those that we need to do exactly in order, like HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in order to be able to make it through the Yom Adin. Now, the Gemara says in Rosh Hashanah, the Gemara says, Asur lefanai Yud Gimel Midot Rachamim. What's the Lashon? Asur lefanai Yud Gimel Midot Rachamim. He doesn't say Imru lefanai, he says Asur lefanai. It's a strange Lashon. The correct way to be able to describe it would be, do say, not to do. Do means that a person needs to imitate. It's not enough just to say it. Of course we say it, and we say it over and over throughout the Slichot. But the main purpose over here is to say and do. Not only say and leave it only with a lip service. You need to imitate HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the way you do things. And who's the one that describes exactly the way those Yud Gimel Midot needs to be implemented? That's the Tomer Devorah. Sefer Tomer Devorah was written by the Ramak of Moshe Devorah. About 500 years ago he lived. He's a man that was beyond the giant. Just to give you a little bit of understanding, he's a Talmid of the Bet Yosef, of Yosef Karo, and his Rebbe, his Talmidim, his students are considered to be the Arizal. The Arizal learned the Kabbalah from him, although I don't think he met face to face with the Arizal, but the Torah that he wrote, the Rav Moshe Devorah, the Torah that he wrote inspired the Arizal Kabbalah. Although the Arizal Kabbalah is different than the Ramak Kabbalah, there's different ways of how to learn Kabbalah, very different in each country also. They learn Kabbalah very, very differently. The Kabbalah is not one. It's just like you learn halakha. There's different ways of learning halakha, different ways of learning the Chumash. You see that the Rishonim that come from different countries say their understanding in the Torah very different. Same thing we found in Kabbalah, and even more so in Kabbalah. So Ashkenaz Kabbalah from Ashkenaz country is very different from the Sephardi Kabbalah. Very different in many different ways. The one that brought down Kabbalah to be able to actually be accessible to the people is the Arizal. His rabbi was of Moshe Devorah. Moshe Devorah also taught Rav Chaim Vital. So this is the man we're talking about. He's also another student that he had is the Rama Mipano, also great Mekubal. We're talking about the greatest of the greatest. And he writes, he has few Sifrei Kabbalah, very much in depth. Again, it's not for us, but one Sefer that he wrote that was a touch of Kabbalah with the understanding that anybody could implement, learn, understand, and implement is the Tomer Devorah. And the Tomer Devorah, it describes to us the Yud Gimel Midot Achamim of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Those Yud Gimel Midot are the things that we need to implement, we need to copy and behave the same way. And we have a lot what to learn from here. I want to go through a couple of them so we can understand. Once you get a little bit of understanding, you can open the Sefer yourself. It's something that you could read. It's written also in many different languages. So if you feel that you don't understand it is simple Hebrew. Simple Lashon HaKodesh. But if you still don't understand simple Lashon HaKodesh, you could take a copy in English and read, and also follow the instructions of the Mechaber. So it says over here, it starts off, it says like this: Adam raui shidameh lekono. A person is supposed to be similar to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. ואז יהיה בסוד הצורה העליונה צלם ודמות, שאילו יהיה דומה בגופו ולא בפעולות. Don't think that being similar, being like HaKadosh Baruch Hu means physically, the way we look. First of all, the Nefesh HaChaim explains that when a person needs to be similar to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the men similar to him, כדמותו, בצלמו וכדמותו, that doesn't mean that we physically like HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu אין לו דמות ואין לו דמות הגוף. אין לו גוף ואין לו דמות הגוף. It's not physical, so how are we similar to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? He says that we are similar, that's a Nefesh HaChaim, in effect, in the manner that whatever we do, we create worlds, we are influencing anything that happens in this world. HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates worlds, HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates Yesh Me'ayin, and we are able to do the same thing as well. That's a discussion of a Nefesh HaChaim. Over here he says that we need to be similar to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he says how. It's not necessarily a contradiction or something different than the Nefesh HaChaim. Nefesh HaChaim just tells you the results of our action, and he tells us what are the actions. And he says that we must be like HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the way we do things. Otherwise, יאמרו עליו צורה נאה, מעשים כעורים. Physically you look very nice. Maybe physically you could say that there is an aspect of looking like HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but his actions are definitely not if you don't follow the actions of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the ways HaKadosh Baruch Hu behaves. And he goes, that's the introduction, and then he explains the very first midah, which is unbelievable. He says like this. It says, there's two ways how to learn it. Hashem Kelachum Bechanun, that we say in Selichot, that it says in the Torah, or Mi Al Kamocha, that it says in the Navi. So the first midah says like this. First midah is to tell us that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Melech Ne'elav. Melech Ne'elav is a humiliated king. And what does that mean? HaKadosh Baruch Hu is a humiliated king. What does that mean? סובל אלבון מה שלא יחילהו רעיון. הקדוש ברוך הוא is so humiliated by the human beings that we can't even tolerate and understand. הרי אין דבר נסתר מהשגחתו בלי ספק. He describes it. He says, obviously הקדוש ברוך הוא knows everything that happens in the world. Everything is is under the eye of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If we have, Chafetz Chaim said, if we have technology today that we can do different things, we can tape different things, obviously HaKadosh Baruch Hu has that technology as well. So if we can tape events that happen, HaKadosh Baruch Hu also has a tape recorder, and obviously he could tape things. If we have today surveillance camera on every corner, and every street, and every house, and every store, and we know what happens every moment, and this is recorded and stored, HaKadosh Baruch Hu also has surveillance camera, and he sees everything that happens every single moment. הרי אין דבר נסתר מהשגחתו בלי ספק, ועוד אין רגע שלא יהיה אדם ניזון ומתקיים מכוח עליון השופע עליו. Who's the one that gives us life every second? It's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's again we go to Nefesh HaChaim that explains that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that's the very beginning of the Nefesh HaChaim of Chaim Volozhiner. Every second HaKadosh Baruch Hu, every given moment HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives life to the world. He not only gives life to the world, he also creates the world again. The world is created over and over and over again. He says over here, with that understanding, הרי תמצא שמעולם לא חטא אדם נגדו שלא יהיה הוא באותו הרגע ממש שופע שפע קיומו ותנועת איבריו. Who's the one that constantly gives you the energy, gives you the power to be able to sin when a person sins? Who's behind the sin that gives you the power, gives you the strength? That's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now this is something that's very humiliating. Imagine that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is right now giving you power in order that you can spit on him. When we sin, what do? We're humiliating him. We're spitting at him. We're showing disrespect. Why? Because we know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu at this very moment is watching me. He's watching me right now. I'm going to make a sin. I'm going to do something that I'm not supposed to do, that he told me I'm not supposed to do. He told me don't do it. He told me that he'll take that personally. And still, while he's watching, I'm going ahead and doing that very sin against him. I'm spitting at him. I'm humiliating him. And it's even more so, he's the one that right now, at that very moment, while I'm doing it, gives me the energy. Imagine you have a robot that what he does is that normally he's supposed to do whatever he's programmed by you to do. So there's a vacuum robot, right? So he goes around, he vacuums your carpets and so on. He does in your house whatever you need. Imagine that at any given point something would go wrong, and instead of going around and cleaning your house and cleaning your carpet, he'll take an egg, he'll go to the fridge, it's a robot, he can go open the fridge, he'll take an egg and take it and throw on you. Boom! All of a sudden you hit with an egg. You're very surprised. You look, you see the robot, something's wrong. At the next moment again, he goes to the fridge again, takes another egg, and he throws it on you. What would you do? Right away, you turn it off. Or if it's plugged to the electricity, you unplug it. And that's it, he won't do it again. But in the same time that he does it, would you go ahead and recharge it? Now the battery is dying. Would you recharge it that he keeps on throwing in you on eggs? That's something no one will do. Nobody will do it, because doing such a thing just gets you armed more and more. Let's say you have a guest. You have a guest in your house. And also, instead of behaving the way you should behave, what would he do? He'll go to the fridge, to your fridge, take an egg and throw on your carpet, dirty your carpet. Then again, he does it over and over again. Would you go to the store and buy more eggs when the eggs are finished so you can continue throwing eggs on you and on your carpet and making your house dirty? Of course you wouldn't. What HaKadosh Baruch Hu does, he goes to the store, so to speak, he buys more eggs and he provides it to you. At the same time you're doing it, you're throwing that egg on him. That's what the Devorah explains over here. This is an unbelievable humiliation for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's called Melech Ne'elav. We are humiliating him, we're embarrassing him, we're degrading him, and with that very power that he gives us at that very moment, we are using it against him. That's unbelievable. How could HaKadosh Baruch Hu tolerate going through such thing in order to provide us more of the same, that we should humiliate him more and we should degrade him more? The answer is that when would you do that? There's only one scenario that a person would do that. He would provide the other more and more of the same thing that he uses against him. When would you do that? If it's your son. Only if it's your son. If you have such a son and you have a choice between continuing giving him with the hope that one day he'll get better, you'll continue doing it. If it's not your son, it's a stranger, or somebody that you don't feel. Sometimes today, in today's generations, there are many people that do that even not to their children, because they feel for the person, because they really have hopes in that person, because they really have a strong emunah that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave him that very scenario in order to help out that person. But you wouldn't do it otherwise. You don't do such a thing. You provide a person things to harm you, to go against you. If it's your son, you know that you have to do it sometimes in order that eventually you'll get better. And that's the reason HaKadosh Baruch Hu does it. So that's the very first midah that we need to realize, that whenever you go to shul and somebody does something to hurt you, to humiliate you, to embarrass you, and that very thing you provide him, if you're able to do it over and over again without stopping, that's a midah that's beyond. And that is something that HaKadosh Baruch Hu does, and if you do it, you are midameh lekono. You are similar in that to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's the first midah. הרי זו מידה שצריך האדם להתנהג בה, he says. רצוני, I mean, הסבלנות. Be tolerant to others. וכן היותו נעלב אפילו למדרגה זו. You have to have the patience and tolerance even to that level. אם כל זה לא יאסוף טובתו מן המקבל. You continue to give him the good that you would give him even if he would not take it against you. Second midah. הרי זה גדול מהקודם. The second midah, he says over here, is greater even than the first midah. What could be already greater than the first midah? First midah was very, very extreme. What could be already more extreme than the first midah that we need to implement and be similar to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? He says over here, שהרי לא יעשה אדם עוון שלא יברא משחית. Whenever a person sins, what happens then is that you create a mashchit. You create an angel, a bad angel, that angel harms in the world. Again, we spoke about the Nefesh HaChaim before. He says that we are like a Kadosh Baruch Hu, that we create worlds, but we also destroy worlds. Now, when we're talking about worlds, it means spiritual worlds, that those worlds bring shefa, brings all the good that we have in this world, or all the bad, which means everything that happens here is a result of what happens in Olamot HaElyonim, in the spiritual worlds. Who's the one affecting those worlds? We are. Whatever act we make we are influencing those worlds that bring shefa, whether it's a good shefa or bad or destruction to this world. So that's the way it works. One of the things that we're creating when we're sinning is a mashchit, a bad angel. When we do a good thing, we create good angels. When we do bad things, we're creating mashchitim. Those mashchitim, those bad angels, right away take action. They are there to start harming, to start destroying. They come to this world, they start destroying around in this world. Whatever it is, they destroy the person that sinned, they destroy around him as well. שהרי לא יעשה אדם עוון שלא יברא משחית, כדתנן העובר עבירה אחת קונה לו קטגור אחד, בעצם משניים אבות. והרי אותו קטגור עומד לפני הקדוש ברוך הוא ואומר פלוני עשני. This is complete immediate result of the sin of the person that created me. ואין בריאה מתקיים בעולם אלא בשפעו של הקדוש ברוך הוא. That creation, that משחית, that bad angel needs life as well. It's something that's doing, it's moving, it's doing, it's a creation. Who gives him life? HaKadosh Baruch Hu has to give him life. He must give him life. Which means when we sinned, not only that we created an angel, we also force HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so to speak, to revive and give life to that very bad thing that's created in order to harm the world of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. ואין בריאה מתקיים בעולם אלא בשפעו של הקדוש ברוך הוא והרי משחית עומד לפניו ובמה מתקיים? הדין נותן שאומר הקדוש ברוך הוא איני זן משחיתים נלך אצל מי שעשהו והתפרנס ממנו. Go, he should have said to the משחית, go and take away from the person that created you. Now what does it mean to take away from the person that created you? It means that you take the life from that person. You take away from that person whatever he has, you take away. That person becomes sick, and that person becomes he has all kind of things that are very, very bad that starts happening to that person. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu should have said, go to the person that created you, that made you, and you take away from him. HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't do that, because if he does that, indeed, the person who sinned would be harmed very badly, sometimes won't be able to make it. היה משחית יורד מיד נוטל נשמתו, או קורתו, או נענש עליו פי עונשו עד שיתבטל המשחית ההוא. ואין הקדוש ברוך הוא עושה כן, אלא נושא וסובל לעוון. Therefore, the second midah is נושא עוון. מי אל כמוך, נושא עוון. The first midah was מי אל כמוך, מלך נעלב. Second midah is נושא עוון. He carries the sin, he carries the mashchit that was created. Now, why is this important? Again, we'll give a mashal. A mashal is that you have somebody that stays in your house and he's there for a while. You let him stay there for a month, 2 months, 3 months. You're trying to help this person. And this person made some bad decisions and got involved with the mafia. He did some bad things and the mafia was getting already together with him, but they also blackmailed him. They want now a certain amount of what we call protection fee. They want protection. You have to provide us a certain amount of money or we're going after you or we're going to kill you. No, when you're mafia, when it's a serious business, it's not a regular person, it's a real gangster and he wants protection, you have no choice, you have to give it to him. That person that needs to pay the protection doesn't have that money. But what does he do? He goes to the host. He goes to the person he stays by, and he tells him, do me a favor, I got into a lot of bad things, and I need money in order to be able to not be killed by those gangsters. If the person gives him, you might give it to him one time to help him out, that's it. But what happens if this very person that stays by him gets involved again with another mafia, with another story, because another bad decision that he made? And a third time and a fourth time, he keeps on getting involved with the wrong people, and he keeps on getting more, he needs to give them more protection, because he does again and again things that he shouldn't have done. Of course, there's got to be a time that you put a stop to it. Look, I can help you once or twice, which is also something that's not, I'm not supposed to do it, I'm overdoing, but keep on doing it, that's enough. You're on your own. At a certain point, you're on your own. This is the midah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees that we are creating gangsters, and those gangsters, they need protection, they need something to live, and we come to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and He's the one that gives them whatever's needed, so they're not going to come back at us. That's what he says over here. הרי המשחית עומד לפניו, the mashchit comes, the gangster comes, ובמה יתקיים? How could he needs to survive. He needs that protection. הדין נותן שאמר הקדוש ברוך הוא איני זן משחיתים. ילך אצל מי שיעשה אופה ויתפרנס. Go back to the person who created you. Go get your protection from the person you're after. והיה המשחית יורד מיד ונותן משמתו, קורתו, נענש עליו. And therefore he would go right away and take away from that person. If he doesn't have enough, so he'll take away his life. אין הקדוש ברוך הוא עושה כן. אלא נושא וסובל העוון. הקדוש ברוך הוא carries that sin. He carries and he gives whatever's needed to the gangster. כמו שהוא זן העולם כולו זן, הוא מפרנס המשחית הזה. So this is an unbelievable midah. This midah, says the Ramak, is even greater than the first midah. Unbelievable. הקדוש ברוך הוא expect us to do the same thing. ודבקת בדרכיו. מהו רחום אף אתה רחום, מהו חנון אף אתה חנון, מהו גומל חסדים אף אתה גומל חסדים. He has those י' ג' midot, you have to be like that. If we able to implement those midot, then we are coming to din shamayim in Rosh Hashanah with totally different judgment, because we are exactly like a Kadosh Baruch Hu. We are doing things that are beyond human ability to behave in such a way. Next midah over here. But before we say the next midah, I want to take you to the fourth midah, and then we come back to the third midah. The fourth midah, again, I'm mentioning, and this is lisherit nachalato. Lisherit nachalato means to those that are like him, from his, so to speak, family. Lisherit nachalato. He says like this in the fourth midah. הנה הקדוש ברוך הוא מתנהג עם עם ישראל בדרך זו, הוא אומר, מה אעשה לישראל והם קרוביי? עם ישראל are my relatives, שאר בשר יש לי עמהם. They are part of my extended family, or even closer than extended. שהוא בת זוג לקדוש ברוך הוא. We are like the mate of הקדוש ברוך הוא. קורא לה ביתי, הקדוש ברוך הוא calls us my daughter. אחותי, my sister, אמי, my mother. Which means הקדוש ברוך הוא relates to us as such a close relative, and that explains, again, the first midah and the second midah. When would you continue helping somebody that does something wrong over and over again by giving him more and more in order to protect him from those bad people that he keeps on meeting? You wouldn't do it to anybody. Maybe once if you're Baal Chesed, maybe twice, but you won't keep on doing it on regular basis unless it's your own child. Whenever it's your own child, it's l'sherit nachalato, it has a different category. You have to protect your child from anything that happens, whether it's good, whether it's bad. He made bad decisions, he went in the wrong path, he went in the wrong way, he did the wrong things. He's still protected because you have no choice. He's your child. Your child is you. L'sherit nachalato, she'er basar. It means it's part of your flesh. And then you'll protect him. That's the reason HaKadosh Baruch Hu does it to us over and over again. Gimel, the third one, over al pesha, zu midah gdola. This is a great midah. שהרי אין המחילה על ידי שליח, אלא על ידו ממש של הקדוש ברוך הוא. When we sin, we need afterwards to clean our mess. How do you clean your mess? You need to realize that when we sin, we create a mess. We made a lot of different things that needs to be now cleaned up. Who cleans it? אין המחילה על ידי שליח, אלא על ידו ממש של הקדוש ברוך הוא. כי תכתיב כי עמך סליחה. הקדוש ברוך הוא himself forgives. מהי סליחה? שהוא רוחץ העוון. כי תכתיב אם רחץ השם מצוות בת ציון. The way he explains this is like this. Now we spoke about the person that's staying in your house and the person that throws eggs at the carpets and he messes the house. He makes the place dirty. Who needs to clean? When the day is over, you tell him, hello, you made a mess, clean after you. You can't leave a mess. Who cleans our mess when you do a sin? You create a lot of bad things. HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes and he cleans everything out. That's a great midah, he says, Zo midah gdola. Not only once, he keeps on doing it. Every day, you are making again the carpet dirty with the eggs you threw around. You played eggs. You played food fights in his house again and again. He comes in the evening and he cleans after you. That's something that's not unheard of. Let's see how he says it inside. זה הוא אומר, אין המחילה על ידי שליח, אלא על ידו ממש של הקדוש ברוך הוא. Why? כי עמך סליחה. Why? He's asking why. כי עמך סליחה. Why is it that הקדוש ברוך הוא is the one that forgives?
אף פעם לא אמרתי את שיר המעלת, כי עמך סליחה. למה צריך להיות דווקא הוא? שהוא ציין.
למה? כי מה כתוב? כי עמך סליחה למען? למען? מה זה תברא?
שיהיה יראת שמיים, שיראו מפניו.
זהו.
אף על פי כן אני לא מבין.
כבודו לא מבין דברים עמוקים, אבל בפשטות הדברים מובנים. למען תברא, in order to fear הקדוש ברוך הוא, if you know that הקדוש ברוך הוא is the balabait that comes every day to cleanse your mess, so you have relationship with him and you feel uncomfortable around him. But if he sends, look, I'll explain it to you very simple. When you go to a hotel, and usually in a hotel room you leave a mess. What are you going to clean? There's a cleaning lady that comes afterwards. But imagine, you pay for it. But imagine, it's not the cleaning lady that comes afterwards to clean. You see the owner of the place comes in every day and he starts cleaning around vacuuming your room. You're staying there for 3 days. He's vacuuming every day your room in the morning. He fixed the beds. You feel uncomfortable. On the second day, you're not going to mess so much. Why? It's a balabait that comes. You're dealing with him right now directly. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself comes down and cleans your mess, it's a different thing. It's leman tivareh. Then he sends somebody else. He sends somebody else. So have a good day. I don't have anything directly to do with you. I'm not feeling it. When you feel the balabait, you feel the owner, you feel it's there. Amelech ba'asadeh. you feel him there and he comes and he takes care of the mess, you have a personal feeling towards the host. And therefore, you are going to be much more careful. And let's see his final words before we finish. He says over here again, on this very midah, he says, הנה ממש כדמות זה צריך להיות האדם. A person needs to be exactly like that. שלא יאמר, וכי אני מתקן את מה שפלוני חטא או השחית. I'm going to clean after him. Well, it doesn't make any sense. It's his job. לא יאמר כך שהרי האדם חוטא והקדוש ברוך הוא בעצמו. שלא על ידי שליח מתקן את עוונו ורוחץ צואת עוונו. מכאן יתבייש האדם לשוב לחטוא. He says it openly. He says that you'll be embarrassed because the Kadosh Baruch Hu is the one cleaning. It's not Malachim. He doesn't send the robot cleaner to vacuum your carpet. No, he comes himself with the cleaner, with the vacuum, and he cleans after you. So you're embarrassed. שהרי המלך בעצמו רוחץ לכלוך בגדיו. That midah we need to implement as well. That when a person does something wrong to us, and there's there's implications, there's something that happens because of that, there's bad results. So therefore, what do? Take care of it yourself. If you take care of it, are you obligated? No, you're not obligated. But when you do such a thing, you following HaKadosh Baruch Hu midot, you are doing exactly what HaKadosh Baruch Hu would do. And again, how would you be able to do it easily and be able to actually exercise those very, very hard midot if you feel like your children? Which means when somebody did something, you need to think in your heart and in your head, what would happen if it would be my little boy doing that? A mother cleans after her child every day, the mess that he does. Every day he messes, and she goes and she vacuums, she cleans, she puts the toys together until he's a little bit older, and then she starts teaching him. But even after teaching him, she does it over and over and over and over again, and hopefully also fathers, but mothers definitely do it. And therefore, when we understand that it's my child, I can clean and I should clean the mess. If I understand that this person that stands in front of me is a child of somebody, feel for him just like he would be your child. He's somebody's child. Yes, he's misbehaving. Yes, he's not doing things correctly. But if you feel for that person, if you would exercise that understanding that he's a child of somebody, let's start thinking that maybe how would I behave to him if it would be my child, would be much easier to implement those things. If we can... Thank you very much, and Be'ezrat Hashem we should have a successful Chodesh Elul.